It's intriguing to me that as well as this ancient story of a great leap forward in our evolution as a species being aided by an ET intervention, we also have the report of returnees. I'm one person removed from two individuals who returned from their contact with greatly enhanced cognitive abilities. One had a notebook that was just filled with advanced calculus because that was what his mind was full of after his experience, something quite different to how he was previously. Now, they didn't come back boasting, saying, "Oh, I had this amazing thing happen to me and now I'm a genius." People often don't talk about this aspect of the experience because they don't want to become a case study. They don't want to be incarcerated and probed and prodded to work out what's really going on. There is far more of that kind of experience than is commonly reported. It's curious because it's a form of acquired savant syndrome, and this is a real-world phenomenon studied by credentialed neuroscientists around the world, where a brain injury or a central nervous system event or a trauma will release prodigious cognitive abilities that the person did not have before. And it's often described as a disinhibition of brain functions. Quietly, returnees often report that kind of experience. I note that because it's part of the Mami Water tradition as well. The payoff, one of the promises made to the person who is abducted, is that they will return with a higher intelligence, with higher consciousness. That is part of the package that this contact with these other beings is promising. How intriguing that it's part of that narrative too.
The Book of Enoch tells a story that seems foreign to Western ears. With its reference to a non-human population resident on Earth, it appears at odds with the familiar stories of our mainstream religions. But to people like the Dogon tribe of Mali, with their memory of friends from the Sirius star system, or the Cherokee people of North America, with their memories of people from the Pleiades, or people from African and Caribbean cultures familiar with Mami Water, many of its themes were strangely familiar. Those who had brought reports of contact with the Mami Water people and other returnees around the world may find comfort knowing that this generation is not the first to claim abduction by a non-human presence on planet Earth. If we can learn to listen with respect to our mythologies and to the stories of those who claim to be contactees and returnees, what new insights might we then gain about humanity's place in the cosmos? The Qumran Caves on the northern shore of the Dead Sea. It was in caves hidden in these Judean mountains that an ancient religious community hid its precious archives of papyrus scrolls and manuscripts. In 1947, a shepherd throwing rocks was surprised by the sound of a breaking pot. When he investigated, he realized he had stumbled upon an incredible treasure trove of ancient texts. Between 800 and 900 manuscripts have since been recovered, among them some of the most important historic and religious texts ever found. Among them, the Book of Enoch. The earliest version of the Book of Enoch is the Ethiopian book. Ethiopia is home to the one church communion that accepts the Book of Enoch within the canon of the Bible. The Ethiopian book comprises the Book of Watchers, the Parables of Enoch, the Astronomical Book or the Book of Luminaries, the Book of Dreams, and the Epistle of Enoch. Many of its themes echo the aspirations and concerns of many of the Hebrew scriptures, but other themes occur within its pages that are more unusual. The current scrolls date from the 3rd to the 1st century BCE. The source of their narratives and their authorship remain a mystery.
The book is attributed to Enoch, but that doesn't settle the question of its authorship, because just as the historic Moses didn't necessarily write all the books of Moses, or the prophet Isaiah didn't necessarily write all the books of Isaiah, so the authorship of the book of Enoch remains a bit of a mystery. But Enoch himself is a fascinating figure and very intriguing. He's an ancestor of Noah. Noah is his great-grandson, and he himself, Enoch, is the great-great-great-great-grandson of Adam and Eve, which, if you think about it, if I'm doing my maths right, means he had 62 other great-great-great-great-grandparents in the same generation as Adam and Eve. So, just taking the narrative on its own terms, who were they? I mean, that's a mystery on a mystery.
Scholars believe the Qumran community to have been home to the Essenes, a secretive monastic community, and the caves in the Judean mountains, their high-security archive.
The evidence is that the Qumran community was part of the movement of Essenes, which was a monastic-style community of that time. And you can see why they would have loved the book. There are many themes that would have been important to them. But there's a section in chapters 85 to 90 of prophetic texts, and many people read them as prophesying the advent of various tribes and empires, and then they appear to foretell the advent of the Essenes themselves, and then Jesus of Nazareth, and then the 12 apostles of Christianity. And it wasn't only the Essenes who held this book in high regard. Many of the early church fathers quoted from this book freely, and they referred to it as to scripture. That would include writers like Tertullian, Justin Martyr, Origen, Clement of Alexandria, all referring to this as if it were part of their canon.
Given the high regard in which the book was held in ancient times, what was it about the book's contents that made it so controversial that it had to be excluded from the official canons? In chapters 1 to 36, we read the Book of Watchers,